Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Motor Vehicles and Transportation. We have a short agenda, short time frame, but given how great this subcommittee is, I have no doubt we can get through it all. I believe the first bill on our list is, oh, that's the wrong one. Patrick, what's the first bill on our list?
Um, House Bill 219, St.
Yes.
Mary's County motor vehicle registration exception for golf carts.
Yes. Can you explain, because we have a lot of new folks, can you explain our parameters, process, rules for golf carts?
Well, yeah, we have approved some golf carts on public roads bills, but only under certain circumstances. I just got an email, sorry. The First of all, there's a little informal program in Virginia where they have little communities on the Chesapeake Bay, and they have their little tourist stops for boaters and the like who go boat in, dock, and then can get off and get in golf carts and shop and eat and tour the parks and tour the little communities. And Maryland was kind of intrigued by that, so we started with Crisfield, allowed Crisfield for Delegate Otto to have the golf carts on specific roads. Crisfield is at the end on the bay. There is a state road, but they have to get state highway approval and with conditions to cross that. The rest of them don't even have state highways. Vienna, we did we did Tillman last year. I forget the name of the other island, but they're all on peninsulas, isolated. Sometimes we get them coming in for areas that are not isolated, like something in Frederick or something, and Havre de Grace, which we heard about a little today. And the committee said no, not the type of program that we're thinking of. And this is for St. Mary's County, and it says it puts the authority to designate where golf carts may go in the hands of the Board of County Commissioners in St. Mary's County.
Okay, so outside of how we have traditionally looked at and what we have allowed for golf carts, do folks have any questions? Yes, Delegate Morgan.
Thank you, delegates. Since this is near dear to my friend Matt's heart, not mine, let me sort of explain what the parameters Patrick just described. Is that a few years ago you approved area called Golden Beach, and Golden
Correct.
Beach I would use is similar to Crisfield in that it's, to get to Golden Beach you got to go 4 miles off the main road. You get down, it's a waterfront community, it's very close and nestled together, and you approve golf carts down there, which was I use words similar to Crisfield because just the people going back and forth around their houses to their neighborhood. Now the question that the commissioners are posing is being pushed again, is expanding this to anywhere the commissioners want to push it. This is, I think, where the devil in the details lie, because there are a number of communities down in St. Mary's County that are very rural and they're waterfront, and you have a 2-lane road, and people are going to be driving golf carts up and down there regularly. We even have a neighboring senator from Montgomery County who has a golf cart down in St. Mary's County in his waterfront house. So I don't know where the devil in the details become of what you can and can't allow. I just feel that when you are in some of these small waterfront communities that are secluded, we keep talking about keep cars off the roads. Okay, I can live with that. The golf cart is the best next exception because it might be too far to walk 1.5 miles down the road, but the golf cart serves the purpose, and that's where we go. Now, when I get to, I would sit there and on the other hand argue that some other neighborhoods, are not waterfront communities. They are not necessarily always as secluded as you may wish. And that's where I said the devil in the details become, in that I would agree with the waterfront communities. I have a neighbor, it's a 1/4 mile from his house to my house. He has a golf cart. He rides over to my house regularly. He's 75 years old and doesn't want to walk. No one's going to come down and stop him because we're the only 2 houses at the end of the street. So that's my case, is trying to defend the thing for St. Mary's County, which I believe in. However, listening to Patrick and your parameters, the parameters cause me some question, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. Delegate Davis.
Yes, I just like further clarification. Is the issue that it's not narrowly tailored? Is that what the real issue is? Or because, I have an interest in this too. Well, my county has an interest in it because there is a delegation bill to allow it at Cobb Island, which is a peninsula, which is surrounded three sides by water, and it's a small community. So I just want to know the parameters and just offer that to the discussion.
Yes, and I think to answer your question, as well as what Delegate Morgan brought up, it is the devil is in the details, and it isn't narrowly tailored. And one of the things that we see on a regular basis is, okay, this is St. Mary's County wants the authority to put it wherever they want it. Okay, why can't Kent County have it to put it wherever they want it? Why can't Montgomery County have it to put it wherever they want it? And everybody will have their own reasons why. So that's why we have kept it to very narrowly tailored areas, peninsulas. Anybody else have any questions, comments, thoughts? Yes, Delegate Morgan.
I guess that within how for the education of the public, because I know that I've heard rumors, again, because I'm brand new up here, that the golf carts aren't exactly one of the favorite bills up here, because as you just clearly point out, what Montgomery County does or Prince George's does is different than what St. Mary's or Kent County may do. But when delegations get requests from their commissioners towards what these parameters are, how do we focus one way or the other? Say, okay, guys, there's some parameters you got to live with, whether you like it or not. If I could say Garrett and Allegheny, when I look at those counties, you go to Deep Creek and all those houses back in there. I mean, I'm sure they have golf carts out there doing stuff. So I'm just curious now.
Sure. So Patrick, do you want to run through the parameters again?
Well, again, isolated, preferably no state roads. We have to put special language in if there's a state road. Peninsula, isolated, and the preference would be, sort of a water trail for tourists. Part of a water trail for tourists. So realistically, the delegate mentioned Deep Creek. That's a theoretical possibility, but realistically, this would have to be on the bay and its tributaries to meet the criteria that we've passed in the past. And I'll mention one other thing that you always have in the background. There's always a possibility that someone gets hit in one of these and dies. And that's been a fear. That's always a fear right in the background.
Yes, Delegate Morgan.
And Patrick, I agree to that with that statement about, somebody gets it. I would suggest that if this could do anything, you cannot cross a major road in these golf carts. As Delegate Davis said, she's got Cobb Island down there on her little piece, but St. Mary's is one huge peninsula. The whole thing is covered by water on three sides. So I have numerous waterfront communities down there that would probably be able to live by those rules, if that makes sense.
Well, we know one because one's been approved.
Correct.
Right. Delegate Healy, I see you wanted to speak.
Yeah, I just want to weigh in just for a second. I think we knew the first time when we did this for Chrisfield that it was opening things up and that we will be getting bills about golf carts forever after. So I think that we need to be cautious about expanding it beyond the parameters that we've established already, because no matter where we get it, it will open the door and we will get more requests from more people pushing the envelope further and further. So I'd like to see if we continue to deal with these on a one-on-one basis rather than giving it to the local government and see if they fit the criteria that we've established until and unless, obviously it's the will of the committee or the will of the subcommittee to go differently. And I'm not going to stand in the way of anything, but I just wanted to say what I think about it.
Thank you. Delegate Jacobs.
Thank you. This golf cart was given to all the members who passed the first golf cart bill. just so you know. And maybe you guys can get one too. But anyhow, might I suggest, since it's so broad, that we give the delegate an opportunity to narrow it down to specifics, because that's what we're saying. And maybe there's just a misinterpretation. But if Delegate Morgan can tell his son how to drill down into the specifics, then perhaps we could look at something that more reasonable to vote up, vote up or down based on the criteria that we use. Just a thought.
Good thought, Delegate Guyton.
Thank you so much. I'm actually going to come down strongly on the side of favorable for golf carts and golf cart expansion and local control of golf carts. I will go with the will of the committee and the subcommittee on this, but I hope that we can open up minds a little bit more about this issue. My experience has been growing up in a coastal place that is not an island per se, and also owning property on one of the Outer Banks islands where golf carts are the way that people get around, and golf carts coexist with big trucks and cars all the time. That never heard of any issues. Not that they couldn't happen, but it makes things safer. It makes everyone go slower. It's obviously better for the environment, and it is it's just a much nicer way to get around than a whole bunch of cars. So that's my 2 cents on this issue. I actually feel strongly about golf carts. I wasn't sure about that, gentlemen. Learned so much.
Sorry, I'm muted. Delegate Davis.
I would defer to Delegate Stewart since I'm making a second question.
Okay. Nope, he says go ahead.
I agree with narrowly tailoring it, and I have been taking notes.
Got it.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Delegate Stewart.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So I sort of can see both sides here. First of all, I would just say as a threshold matter that I agree with Delegate Jacobs that I think it would be only fair to the sponsor to allow him to come back and to try to amend it down to be more consistent with the parameters of what the subcommittee has done in the past. However, I'm not so sure if I would go so far as to just sort of start willy-nilly and allowing counties to do this, but I would say in general that I would be in favor of relaxing some of the subcommittee's historical approach to golf carts. Maryland is actually only one of 6 states in the country that has a broad ban on golf courts on public roads. And so as someone who comes from the same state as Delegate Guyton that allows these more broadly, I just don't really see much of a problem. I've never heard of really many negative interactions. I think in a lot of ways on some of these roads where maybe it's 25 or 30 miles per hour roads, to have golf carts actually kind of slows the traffic down and can make it a safer environment for cars, for people, for bikes. So I don't know exactly where I'm coming out, except that maybe I'm a moderate on golf carts, which is to say,
I'm sorry, what was that, Delegate Stewart?
I know. I'm not a moderate on many things, but I think on this issue, I'm a moderate. I think like I could definitely see me getting to the point where I would be supportive of this bill if Delegate Morgan would sort of more narrowly tailor it to a certain area. And I'm also not sure if I'm comfortable with going with a full-on county by county approach. But I guess what I'm saying is that if Delegate Morgan came back with a community that wasn't precisely like Chrisfield, I think I would also be comfortable with that. I mean, I think I represent Leisure World, where there's a golf course there, and sometimes people do drive the golf carts on the public roads, and it's fine. I mean, I think that the speed limit is already like 25 or 20 miles per hour anyway. I'm not sure they're doing that legally, but if Leisure World came in and wanted the authority to drive those golf carts on the public roads within Leisure World, I would transfer into a radical on golf courses, and I would tell you about how Leisure World absolutely needs that authority, even though it is not coastal and not touristy. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Patrick, it is illegal, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
You have to be registered and they won't register them.
Yep. Okay. So Delegate Morgan, would you be willing to? Thank you very much. Okay. Great. Anything else on that bill? All right. HB 659. Delegate Aaron's, Chesapeake Bay Bridge, a study on the prohibition on trailers in counterflow lanes. Patrick, you want to take us through it?
Well, this is, as the title says, that's pretty much the bill. The testimony indicated that, in the lead up to the Bay Bridge, and Brad, I think, is on this call, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, that the lanes are restricted leading up to the bridge, and the only way that you can get onto the contraflow lane is through these lanes, so that there's, long story short, there should be no trailers in the contraflow lanes. And they did give us a lot of statistics on the number of citations and the like.
That is correct, Patrick. Yes. And I believe there are amendments to knock the study down to 3 years, which we're okay with. And we appreciate Delegate Arendt's working with us. And with that amendment, we're okay. Just the study going back 10 years was a pretty tough swing. And he was okay with doing a study going back 3 years, of which we're good with.
So I'm curious, given that it is currently illegal, what is it that we're studying?
I want to study over the course of that time period, how many accidents happened, what contributed to them, and what sort of enforcement might help to better alleviate the issue.
Okay. There is currently a $175,000 fiscal note. I don't know if that changes if the study is shorter. Delegate Healy.
Yeah, I have a different question. I mean, the last 3 years are pretty anomalous to the whole situation because of COVID. People weren't driving normally and all kinds of things were not normal. We had supply chain, there were trucks that weren't moving and all kinds of things. I'm not sure how valuable that might be. It's just a question. I'm not sure.
It's a good point. Delegate Jacobs.
Yeah, since COVID, they've also changed all the toll booths. They took all those out. They've put up all this new automated lane directors. I don't know exactly the right name for them, but there's been some significant changes at the bridge for the last couple of years, and yet we're still dealing with on even on Fridays when I go home. If I leave here at 3:30, 4 o'clock, takes me an hour to get over to Bay Bridge from here. And on Sundays, you can't get over coming back. So there's still issues going on with the lanes on the bridge. But what's changed is the removal of all the toll booths and the redirecting of a lot of these contraflow lanes, through the automated system. And maybe it does need studying, because there has been significant changes. Would you agree with that, Brad?
Yeah, we're perfectly happy to work with you on it. Just the 10-year thing was tough to go back that far, but 3 years we are good with, as is the bill sponsor, Delegate Arendt's.
Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To the chair's point, if it's already illegal, what are we studying? What do we expect to find from it? And what might be a solution?
So we're studying, how many of these accidents happened, what contributed to those accidents. And one of the things that the bill sponsor want to look into is some sort of camera system to monitor folks with trailers that use the contraflow lane. And, is that a possibility to look into that for enforcement? And also to look into, do we need to beef up the penalties on it?
And if I may, Madam Chair,
Please go ahead.
for those watching and myself, what is a contraflow lane?
It's a lane that changes direction depending
That's
on
right.
time of day.
Okay.
So yeah, if you have ever gone to Ocean City and you're going east and they send you
Hate those.
and you're going to get, that's contraflow. Yes,
I
ma'am.
hate those because you go right into ongoing traffic, right? It's like, ooh.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, well, are there other questions, comments, thoughts on this? Delegate Jacobs, you still have your hand up. Nope, now it's down. Okay. So it does have a fiscal note that is above what we can move forward with right now. So there's some other conversations we need to have, but I'm trying to get a sense of the committee. So anybody else have anything else they want to say on it?
You need a motion?
I don't know, but Delegate Stewart and Delegate Guyton just raised their hands. Delegate Guyton?
I am so sorry. I'm kind of following, I think, the train of thought of Delegate Davis, where I'm not sure that we're going to get a lot of solid information from a study for something that's already illegal. And it's not a pilot. I'm hearing it's not a pilot for doing cameras or doing something that's going to impact the speed or the safety of that area. So I'm just not sure that it's a good use of 100 and however many thousands of dollars, in my opinion. Okay. Not that we don't need to do something. I'm just not sure. I don't love studies. So
thank you. Delegate Stewart?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to say the same thing. This kind of seems like something where we're studying something, but we know what the outcome is going to be. We know the outcome is going to be that this is a problem and that people are violating the law. Now, I understand that sometimes studies are nice because then maybe we can bolster the evidence required to formulate some sort of solution. But I feel like in this case, it's kind of obvious that there is a problem here. There are a lot of people that have been speaking to it. I think that if we're going to spend $175,000 and they're going to come back and say, this is a problem, people are breaking the law, we need to come up with some sort of solution. Here are a couple solutions. But it sounds like we kind of already know what the possible solutions are going to be. So I would be totally open if the delegate wanted to just go ahead and put in a camera bill or put in a fine increase or whatever, and then we could debate the merits of that as a subcommittee. But it seems like that's probably the natural next step here. It seems like we know there's a problem. We don't need to demonstrate any more evidence that there's a problem. I'm totally persuaded that people are, even though I don't traverse this area very often, I'm totally convinced it's a problem. I think probably the more logical next step is let's talk together about what the solution is.
Thank you. Delegate Ziegler, did you have your hand up?
Sorry, I did, but Delegate Stewart pretty much said what I was going to say. I would spend there's so many other things to spend money on. And I guess I would, stick a cop there to give people giant tickets.
Okay. So is there doesn't have to be, is there a motion?
Unfavorable.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the unfavorable?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the unfavorable carries.
All right. Thanks, delegates.
Thank you. And
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
happy to talk to the delegate and let him know our conversation. And if he wants to come forward next year with an actual solution, happy to talk with him about it. Okay.
We only have 2 minutes, so do you want to skip up to 8:49?
Yes, let's do that. Oh, that's going to be a longer conversation.
Well, 8:06 is going to be a real long conversation.
Yeah, it is. So I think we're just going to stop there. I will flag for people. We had passed HB 94, one of our very first meetings. It was Delegate Lehman's reducing speed limits. And her cross-file withdrew the bill. So that basically means it's a dead bill. So I have talked to Delegate Lehman, and it sounds like she is going to withdraw the bill and bring it back and try again next year. Because if we pass it, it's just going to go over to the Senate and die, and then it creates all sorts of other bad precedent. So just wanted to flag for you all since we had passed that early on. Okay, so thank you all. These bills, 806 and 849 will go on next week's agenda. As we get closer to crossover, we'll probably start meeting twice a week. So watch your emails, we'll let you know. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.